What's up, everyone? Welcome to Barstool Breakdown. Today is Saturday, July 29th. We got a great show for you today. We're going to break down the week at Barstool. We got the Barstool Beast of the Week. We have the Barstool Least of the Week. We have the Beef of the Week and the Comment of the Week. And then we end it with an awesome interview with Stephen Cheah. You don't want to miss it. Let's get it.
Get sturdy as fuck.
This is it.
I should be over all the butterflies, but I'm into you. And baby, even on the worst nights, I'm into you.
All right. Welcome to Barstool Breakdown. I'm Frankie with my co-host, Jonathan. We're going to break this week down for you. Are you ready for it, Jonathan? How we doing?
Yeah, bro. Excited as always. I mean, it was a great week in Barstool. I've got no complaints, and there's a lot going on. I'm ready to get to it. I mean, we might as well just start with PMT and get the thing rolling.
Yeah, for sure. Preface this. I was on vacation, so I caught as much as I could, but I definitely listened to PMT.
I got your back. I got your back.
I was going to say, you're going to have to be the top.
Well, you got to understand, Frankie, that I knew you were on vacation. So I was obviously going to like step up and do my job, like fucking take it serious. Like we want to give a good product to the people. So
yeah.
I was grinding. I watched everything all night, every night. And I even called the NFL top 100. I haven't seen a steal yet. It's been upsetting. But yeah, the Barstool week's been great. So I'm ready to get to it, bro. So I'm going to start it off with PMT. You said you caught PMT, right?
Yes, sir.
So give me some highlights. What were your favorite part of that?
Well, I guess my favorite part of PMT usually always is Mount Rushmore because, you know, they're also positive. They can't denigrate picks anymore, which is I just love that part of that segment too.
Yeah, but they'll still it's a pick. It's a pick. You know, they throw that in there.
They do it every time. The point is they denigrate it, but then they just say we're not denigrating picks though. We're not denigrating picks. So it's just
Exactly.
it's like saying no offense, but and then you just tell someone like, yo, your teeth
it's
are
like
way
saying
too far
it's
apart.
like saying
It's like,
hashtag it's like saying hashtag healthy debate, like my man Bosco.
Yeah.
Like that's what it's saying, bro.
Yeah, well, the biggest highlight that stuck out to me was, and I hate to do this to him, man. I hope he just doesn't hate me because he has to know I love him. But Jake Marsh throwing out either Gatorade Cool Blue or Glacier Freeze and getting the veto, which it better have been Cool Blue. I mean, maybe that's a hot take, but Glacier Freeze is good. But
you
Cool
can hear
Blue,
it in the episode when he says it. It just starts to bleep, just bleep, like oh no, and they're like Jake, and like even Big Cat says like. We thought about taking that, Jake, but we realized like you can't say that. You know what I mean? Like that's not okay. The next episode, he was even shouting out. He was shouting out Body Armor as like what he had them as the who's back as the of the week. Because shout out my man Caleb Presley, never misses Sunday conversation with Joey B. Yeah, so he had that. It was sponsored by Body Armor. So, of course, Jake's like, you know what? Let me make up for it and be the good boy that I am. Say sorry the right way. I get it.
Yeah, that's plug God. Like Big Cat kept saying, the plug God.
Well, I mean, you got to after that, man. We've seen it go other ways in Barstool history. We've seen a sponsor take some offense. I had some other notes here about PMT. The coaches draft, it was like Hank dominated in the beginning with his strategy because I'm a Mike Tomlin guy, right? That's obvious.
He's good, but those other picks.
Oh, Mike, are you kidding? Mike Vrabel's a hell of a coach. Mike McCarthy
I agreed.
Won a Super Bowl winner. Mike McCarthy, mind you. Sure, he got ran out of Green Bay like a bad habit, but
there's betters out there. That's all.
Okay, sure, whatever. Because we've seen.
I'm just saying McCarthy and whatever that stupid Dolphins coach is. I don't know. I didn't agree with those ones, but
McDaniel's gonna be fine. They're gonna have a year. You know, I mean, according to Nicky Spokes, they're winning the Super Bowl. So
yeah, he went 67% too. So
my last PMT notes that I have is great week is next week. And
shit.
Yeah, great week is next week. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You know, everyone buckle up. There's gonna be a brand new intro on Monday. And Mount Rushmore is getting real contentious. Going into great week, of course. You know, it's close. I don't know if you've seen the scores.
The tightest. Yeah, it's got to be the tightest it's ever been.
It's definitely the tightest. It's 16 to 15. So that's Big Cat PFT and Jake and Billy surprisingly tied for first. And then you got Hank and Max fucking bringing up the rear at 15. And let me ask you this, Frankie. Who do you want to see locked in a room together for 24 hours? Because so far through this Mount Rushmore season, I think Billy and Jake locked in there, they might just kill each other.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Billy and Jake. And it's not. It has nothing to do with them like potentially killing each other or whatever. I'm seeing all that they're going to be inside of that room right now and on the pod. They're doing all of this hatred and all this stuff that I want to
So
see in
who's
that
your
room.
pick then?
Who do you think?
Hank and Max.
Yeah, I was gonna say I want to see Hank and Max in there so that while they're in there, we could tweet at Philly Mays and figure out when all the videos are coming out and everything. It'll just be continuous, love for the Barstool least of the week video.
Yeah, you're right.
Which,
you're right.
first of all, meeting Max in Chicago and seeing him, and he was doing the shot with Cruz and whatever and all that stuff. Like, he's such an awesome dude, and it's just so funny because like I almost felt like he thought he was going to take an L that night. Like when PFT is like, take the shot, just take the shot. And he's like, if I throw up, it's your fucking fault, because he just thought like they were trying to get him. They were like out to get him there too. It was just, I don't know, man. It's so funny.
No, so I mean, like you said, meeting Max, you can tell he's like a hell of a dude. Like I asked him about the smooch he got on his cheek, and he like was still super cool about it. He's like, yeah, whatever. He hasn't really talked about it since. Like he just, that's my boy, whatever. Like, but with him, he kind of gets his get back. So I don't know if you've seen this, but PMT also had a golf video this week. It was him, it was Hank and PFT trying to break 100, and then Memes and Max were behind the cameras. Basically, it goes down to the wire. I won't spoil it all for you because it did just come out. But Max gets his get back. You know what I mean? Like he's having a good time out there because he's watching Hank struggle a little bit. So I completely agree that it's a valid choice. But I kind of think I'd love to see Jake and Billy because they're so polar opposites. Like Hank and Max hate each other because of sports, but Jake and Billy just like they're getting mad at each other because of like differences in personality. So you trap that together for 24 hours, that'll give you some great content.
I'm just worried Jake is going to be so. Like
Jake will read. Jake.
I just feel like he's gonna be. Yeah, I feel like he's gonna be so mentally strong. I feel like he's gonna be so mentally strong that he literally is just able to overcome listening to.
Yeah,
Billy's
but the thing about Jake though, is he also knows that it's for content.
Yeah, no, so and he's smart too. So
yeah,
he
exactly.
will.
So
yeah,
he'll make
definitely
it fun for sure in his own way, even.
All right, let's move over to the Yak then and talk about Stephen Cheah real quick. We talk about this in the interview with him as well, but him bringing up that he just watches scary movies to get nightmares sometimes because it's nice to have a bad dream every once in a while. I know we talked about this. You said you were cool with that. You were like, I see that, whatever. I'm just not like a scared guy. Like, I don't like to be scared. I don't really love scary movies. Like, even like, I always felt like if I was in a scary movie, even like middle school or like high school with a girl, I felt like I would jump at those parts and feel like such a pussy and be like, I don't want that. So like, I would always just be like, let's go to a comedy. And then it would be, so
I kind of get what you mean. It's the same reason that people go out to like see a sad movie to get a good cry. Like every now and then I'll be like, you know what? I need a good cry. So I'll put on like Remember the Titans and I'll replay the car crash or something crazy like that. You know what I mean?
Bro, Hardball, the G Baby scene when he's talking at G Baby's funeral.
Now you're hitting home. Honestly, I could just play Lion King and watch Mufasa get tossed every time and be like, what the fuck, Scar?
I still remember being in high school and watching that G Baby scene and being like, I gotta go pee. I gotta go pee. I was in the bathroom just, oh, G Baby.
Dude, terrible. One of the worst cries ever. And shout out Keanu Reeves. People forget that he was that good.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, it's the same reason you go out to see a sad movie is because you need kind of that thrill, something to wake you up a little bit. Like having a nightmare is not too bad. I wake up with a jolt and I'm ready to go. So I kind of understand what he's saying, but he's also got the Cheah brain effect and like the way he explains it. Like it's going to come off a lot different, but I don't mind a nightmare here and there. So,
yeah, I hear that. And I like that take on like, having a good cry, whatever, because like I actually, enjoy some movies that, will make me cry as well. But like, I don't really mind crying. That's the thing. But like, I do mind getting scared, I think. You know what I mean? You're talking about being manly, whatever. Sometimes chicks are like, oh, look at, he's got emotions, whatever. That's cool. But like, you getting scared at a movie, I feel like that's just pussy. So I just try to stay away from that. You know what I mean?
I get that. Totally understand.
Another thing on the Yak was KB playing with himself. Not sure if you caught that.
Yeah, he's got a problem. His shorts might be too tight, or like, I mean, I kind of get it. When I'm home alone,
I was thinking
my hand's always on my nuts, but Like,
I
I
was
mean,
thinking
for
he
real,
was
I'm a
the
single dude. I live at home alone. You know what I mean? So my hand's always on my nuts. But like when you're on
I-
camera, it's a little different.
yeah, I'm fixing myself 24/7, I feel like, but he had hands in pocket and he was going a little deep. And I was thinking hopefully he was trying to
Nick
go.
was like, "You're jerking off."
I was thinking I was hoping for him to just pull off and be like, I didn't put on my Panicura today, so I was just trying to get down there to itch it or something, like try to play that off with his rectal
He's
itch.
like, "You realize I have rectal itch, you assholes."
It's riding up.
Yeah, fucking sorry, I'm having an episode. Don't mind me. No, actually, on Fridays, Connor Griffin is talking about how he's going back. I said actually so many times there. He's going back to he's going back through like Yak history and trying to clip, like it was hinted at that he's trying to clip each time KB's playing with himself.
Yeah,
So
which that should
that's
be
gonna be a
something.
hell of a montage when that comes out.
I hope he voices it over too, because that would be even funnier. It's just
Connor Griffin has the best voice in the business.
voice of an angel. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
We got to get him on here. KB, Nick, Big Cat, all gone. When we're talking about the Yak, gonna be a little crazy, especially for a huge Yak fan like myself, like you with your hat on. It's sad, but also having those episodes that are just Roan and Sass, and then they bring some people in, whatever. I'm still enjoying it. So like people get
Yeah, no, it's like I was reading a little bit of YouTube comments this week, just trying to do a little research for our segments. Yeah, you see people saying like, the Yak is gonna be the Yak is dead or whatever. It's not though. You got to realize like that show started on Sirius Radio with Big Cat and Roan, and who else? There was one more. Big Cat, Roan Carabas, I think, and now it's up to like 7 people plus the booth. So it's never gonna get worse. Like it's only gonna get better. You're gonna have like everyone that new in Chicago that you're not introduced to. Like me, I'm a big mid-show and dog walk fan, and Eddie and White Sox Dave and Chief, like everyone who's just been watching the Yak and not getting any of those guys, you're about to get a treat, really. And like you'll still have the benefit of doing Roan and Sass on Son of Boy Dad and like whatever else they come out with Barstool Comedy. So like it's bringing new things to the playing field. That's all.
Well, if it tells you anything, I have a couple notes on the Yak, and like my biggest note, which was like my last thing, was a joke that Sass said, and it was when nobody else was there, and they happened to be talking about the accents of different players. So like they were like, oh yeah, all the hockey players talk with like a Canadian accent, and blah blah blah. They're like, oh yeah, all the basketball players talk with a black accent, is what Roan called it, because they talk, like with slang and whatever. And then Sass goes, oh yeah, well, why are the football players talk like special needs people? I fucking lost it, dude. I was just like,
and then Roan was like, well, it comes after time. Like it takes
and Roan moved the mic away like to laugh too. It was just like, like Sass really, I realized why Sass is so funny too, is because like he doesn't give a shit. He just says whatever. Like, and his jokes, like sometimes people might be like, oh, that's over the line or whatever, but that's why he's funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so he's just, and he's grown a lot of balls too, and says more things, I think, than he used to, which,
sure.
He's been growing on me since day one.
Well, you got to think though. I mean, Sass was what, 2021 when he's hired, and he was coming to Barstool with a ton of followers. Like the dude knows what he's doing. I want to say kid because he's 7 years younger than I am, or 6 years younger than I am. But I mean, he knows what he's doing. He's a talented individual, and he's going to come out with more and more hits. Like all they're giving those guys in New York that are staying in New York is more freedom and space to do what they need to do. So it's just an exciting whole transition we're going through.
Absolutely. But that's all I got on the Yak. You have anything?
Maybe got wet again. That was fun. He had a bad back and he was limping to the shower. He got wet again, soaked. Wet as
they're like, how do you get that wet? It was just,
but if it's the
just like the Lego hair always that's just shining. It's so
shiny
good.
black. Yeah. So, but it's only fitting, like if that's the last time that they're wet in New York, like it's only fitting it's KB. Yeah. One more note on the Friday show. I had Cheah as a host. You can tell he's going off the prep sheet that he wrote. He kind of transitions into each one of them, but it's also a kind of cool flow. Like it flows like a show, like this one should. So I totally get it. And yeah, it was kind of like cool to see Cheah as a host. He speaks kind of differently and all of that. So
Yeah, and it's cool to see him do that too, because in the interview he talks about the prep sheet and the stuff that he does too. So people that watch this show or listen to this show will also get to hear him talk about it there. So let's move to the bracket, just because that was the other one that I watched. Not sure if you caught that one, but
I
it was
missed that
the
one.
it was the hottest profession. So even though you missed it, I just wanted to kind of go over a couple things with you, and see what your take was. So one of the things they were talking about was the realtor versus the bartender. So the bartender was the 5th seed and the realtor was the 12 seed. In my head, I was thinking Brandon Walker's twin realtors that were super hot. But then also thinking about the bartender that is in every movie, every TV show, and then I started thinking about it. Even the bartenders that are on John Taffer's shows and stuff, like those bar rescue shows, like there's always like the one hot bartender that they focus on and they talk about, you know what I mean? Like I know that they have like the real estate shows that have like the hot real estate people and whatever, but like
Yeah,
those are
like
people that
property
are
sex. Property sex is a good one.
yeah, shout out Gooch. But for like you think about it, like those are people going out and they're searching out to find like the hottest realtors and then put them on a TV show. Bar rescues going to the shittiest bars and they're just like, oh look, there's a hot bartender here. So like I was fully in on bartender's got to win that one. And because in my opinion, Ken Jack said that realtors weren't hot. He worked in the industry and his mom was a realtor. Everyone voted against that and realtor beat bartender. What do you think about
It's a niche kind of thing. Like, and realtors usually are generally beautiful people. Like, you got to be able to, if you're selling something, they usually, well kept and they're, projecting themselves in like a very light. And there's some bartenders that have a bad day and they show up with the nappy hair or, like they going into work, they like were drunk from the last night. So they didn't really feel like coming in ready. But if you're a realtor showing a house, you got to be ready. You got to look good. You got to make that house look good. So I get it. It's a fair thing. But I mean, if you find one that's both.
Yeah. Well, you make a good argument there, but I think it's because I've had realtors that were just hideous old women. And, then my other realtor was just my buddy from high school. So I'm like, all right, I haven't had a hot realtor. So, you know what I mean? But I guess I get it for sure. The other one I wanted to talk about was the finals. The winner was musician over fitness instructor. Nick was the owner of that pick. He picked musician, and Cheah was the fitness instructor. That was their submissions, and the musician won over fitness instructor. In my head, was like, it's got to be fitness instructor. You think of that like Kendall chick from Peloton and all that stuff, but then they started talking about it. It's 100% musician. And if a singer is a musician,
yeah, but that's different
landslide.
If it's just a singer. But like I was in band in 6th grade and I knew some ugly violinist. Like, I don't know, man.
I get you, but
and that's no offense to Sarah at all. But like there's a point to be made there that like there's other instruments that are being played as a musician and they're not all beautiful.
Yeah, but my point is, if you're talking, you talk about the Zumba instructor that I just saw on vacation who was 350 pounds still doing Zumba instruction. I wasn't really feeling that either. So you could talk both ways on that. But
yeah,
in my opinion, if you're looking at fitness instructor versus musician, fitness instructor, you're kind of getting a workout, whatever. I get that. That's cool. But like musician, you're getting your like ear porn. I feel like, you're listening to something nice. And it's like, I feel like that just makes whoever's playing that thing look better. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I understood it.
If you have a nice voice, it kind of helps. I get what you mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Someone who can sing like well, I think they are going to be like, if they're an 8, they're immediately a 10. Like it just puts them so much higher. And Nick was the one that won that. And they asked him what he was going to do for the next bracket. And he said the fattest women. So that was a great way to end it. They all just laughed and they were like, all right, that's going to end it then. So Nick always with his, unbelievable lines there.
I kind of want to jump into some more of the serious stuff. The reason that it's called Barstool Sports. August 26th is the start of week 0. College football is right around the corner. We're literally less than a month away. Football is so back. Hard Knocks is back next week. Everything's getting serious sports-wise. Unnecessary Roughness is one of those shows you got to be in on. This week they went over Cole Kublik. He's an SEC media guy. They had a whole interview with him, Casey and Jack Mack. They, you know, they gave him the questions that we're all waiting to hear. He gave off like SEC storylines, college football contenders, and you know, Jack Mack also mentioned how he's the king of TikTok. He mentioned that also on Friday's episode, how Livy Dunn messaged him saying he's his favorite he's her favorite TikToker. So Jack Mack might have that Riz.
Dude, that's insane to just like can we stop right there though for a second? Yeah. Like that's come on.
Yeah, I mean he's fucking great on TikTok. If you follow his
people
Twitter
sit there and
TikTok,
call him, oh
crazy.
Look,
I think he's
look
at
at
like
this sleazeball. Look how gross this dude is. Look at this sleazeball, all these stupid ass comments. And it's like, dude, everyone's just hating. And you got Livy sliding in the DM.
He also said it best though, like to your point there, like how people hate on him. He quoted the Frank the Tank video, which we haven't talked on. We can mention now. The Frank the Tank, he's walking out of New York Yankee Stadium and he has an escort and people wanting to meet him and high five him. And Jack Mack actually quoted that and said, this is the difference between internet and real life. Like people are going to comment and hate on Frank the Tank and comment and hate on whoever else. But like in real life, they're going to see those same people and be like, yo, can I get a picture, bro? Because like you're super cool. Like, yeah, that's how it works.
It's like, I'm not saying that he's going to, you know, be, you know, hooking up with Livy Dunn anytime soon. I'm not saying he's good looking or bad looking, anything like that. But I'm just saying the dude's doing what he's doing. She obviously likes his content. People sit there and just hate on him. And they're like, oh, this guy doesn't check the facts. He just report. And it's like, no fucking media outlet actually checks their facts on like every single little thing that they do. He gets a story, he puts it out there. Like that's what you do. And he's been absolutely killing it. So shout out Jack Mack, shout out the whole crew, Casey, Brandon Walker, Kate. I was just going to say the behind the scenes, Katie, I love that she jumps in there a lot too. Like, cause she always has awesome shit to say. Pretty sure she's a North Carolina fan too. So
she is. She mentioned them a lot on Friday's episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's my team in basketball. So we both like miserably hated Villanova that year.
I'm gonna keep it flowing here. Pick Central's been great this week. We had a Stoolie Ben. He called in a couple times. Hilarious little
shout out Ben.
Yeah, shout out Ben. Rico, Clemmer, Big F, Marty, Megan. Smarts versus Hearts is getting tight, and that's coming to the end. Clemmer's actually down. He's down units. He's last in those standings. Pretty crazy. I'm going to move right past that, though, and go into Bussing with the Boys. We're going to switch back to like a little bit of both. This week they had jersey tier talk, so they went over the best like NFL jerseys and stuff like that. They had a Tom Segura interview.
Love it.
Went over like how he got into comedy, his relationship with Bert, Shane Gillis talking shit on the Beer Olympics. It was just awesome. I don't know if you've seen any of those tweets though, where like Taylor's got him in a headlock. Like
yeah.
Amazing. And I can't wait till that comes out. Do you know when that comes out?
Yeah, well, I don't know the exact date, but just tweet at Philly Mays and Max should be able to tell you because there's plenty of stuff coming out that he's been pretty much telling us behind the scenes. So we just got to make sure we get it out to you guys.
Yeah, he always lets us know. The mid show this week had some awesome guests. They started with Nikki Smokes though. And so Nikki Smokes came on and he was coming on with some heat saying, I'm the best gambler in the company, 67% NFL. He didn't know cons. He didn't know like any of the movie guys.
Cream.
Yeah. So he came in hot. He came in hot with an attitude. What are your thoughts on like Nikki's initial impression as a stoolie?
It's tough because as someone who feels like they're like a diehard stoolie, for him to say the stuff that he said, like, this is my dream, you know, I love this company, I've been wanting this job forever and blah, blah, blah. And then you don't know who Kareem is, you don't know who Cons is, you know, I don't know. It just feels like he knows he's trying to like start the animosity between him and other people. And he knows that's good, but I just feel like I wish he knew more, I guess. And I don't know if I should hold that against him. And I mean, he won the bet, so good for him. Congrats. But I just felt like the way that things he said, like, oh, this has been a dream of mine. Like it sounded like he was been a stoolie forever. And if you don't know, Kareem was the guy that fucking Dave was like, who the fuck is Kareem? I'm gonna fire that guy right now. And now Kareem is like
the best blogger at the company
that does a lot for Dave and stuff. So yeah, it's just kind of
No.
insane that
So what it is for me with Nikki, so he came in hot like that, and I get it, but he came on Stoolie Wednesday. He talked to Neil and I, like just like sitting there shooting the shit, really, and like telling Stoolie's like he came in with the attitude because like what else is he supposed to do? Like everyone's already shooting shots, so like I kind of get that side of it too. And then he released a little thing that he apparently there's gonna be a Friday Dolphin show with Frank the Tank, like that he's in on, and I saw that he was actually on the Frank the Tank pod. Shout out Mikey Betts, shout out Frank. He was on there, and shout out Jenks. He was on that with them. I saw a clip of that on Twitter today. He's got some ideas. It's just going to be a tough go if you're attacking everybody. Is all that's my advice to him. Like you got to kind of give in a little bit. Like actually, John Rich defended him a little bit in a blog I read today. That there was like like who else would say no? Like if you give me 100K, yes. Yeah, I get it.
of course, that's why I said congratulations and whatever. My point was he's coming at people like you said left and right, and it's more like I wish he just was more straight up. Like I made a bet with Dave. Barstool's a dream job. I'm glad I got it. It just when he's
playing it off a
made
little
me
hard.
feel like it made me feel like he had been a Stoolie, even if it was
He
only
did
for
he
a
did
couple
cry
years.
at the Heat game. He cried.
Well,
Those were genuine tears.
I understand that, and I don't know. It could be content, could be real, but I also think
Could be drunk.
that that too. Or 100K on a bet.
Yeah, that
You don't
too.
have to get a Celtics tattoo.
Yeah, anything. Yeah.
But it made I felt like he was like a hardcore Stoolie, and I felt like that's what people I think also had that perception. And then for him to say like he doesn't know these people or another person I don't know, like as if he's like a higher personality than them, it's like come on, dude, pump your brakes a little bit. I'll give him his time. Like I said, Jenks is growing, especially I don't know about other people, but for me especially, like we talked about this early content without it was Stephen Cheah that talked about this.
Yeah, we talked about
we wouldn't get the content we get without Jenks being Tank's guy at this point, and people are
well Stephen made that point. Yeah,
right.
Steven made
and
that
it's like
point.
people are mad at Jenks because the way he got in and whatever, and it's like the dude's doing what he can, and that's what Cheah said too. It's like you got to do something. So it's just
I get that.
Anyway, congrats to Nicky Smokes. Hopefully things work out. It'd be awesome if we have another guy that came on and but if he comes on,
Jersey Jerry also took him out for a birthday dinner. There was that picture too.
Yeah, that's cool. And if he comes on and he has a podcast or two that are kind of cool. I'm not going to listen to a Dolphins podcast as a Jets fan, obviously, but if he has things that are kind of cool. Maybe if you could call into the Dolphins show, I'll call in and just be a
he's hot in baseball. He's hot in baseball. He's like 26-11 in baseball or something. That's all I have on Nicky Smokes. And then also in the mid show, Kelly Keegs is joining Team Chicago. We don't really have to go over that too much, but she's 6th in scoring. Chief is 11th and Dave is 48th. So I don't know. It'll bring the team together a lot and it'll make the dozen a little more fun. And I'd love to see her and Dave yell at each other.
I was just going to say that. Can't wait to just see the first time he says something and she's like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like I could just see her being like, what team am I on right now? And her and Chief going against Dave is almost an inevitable thing. So
and then Big Cat was on the mid show as well. You kind of recognize how happy Big Cat is to be back in Chicago, back at home, and like be with some Chicago guys. I think he's going to be a frequent guest during the mid show, like when they're talking Chicago sports, because how bad Big Cat must have been itching for someone to just talk about Chicago sports together with. So that's going to be an exciting new dynamic. And that's all I have on the mid show there. Any thoughts on like Big Cat coming home?
Yeah, I'm excited for him. You can tell he was comfortable where he was in Brooklyn and all that stuff. But every time they would talk about the move and stuff, he's so excited for the new office. I think he's excited because he's, back where he's originally, able to see all these games. He's going to be able to go to more games. We're going to get more content out of that too. So, you know, if anybody likes that Lions video that Big Cat had, we're going to possibly get to see that same thing with a Bears video, which is his team. And if his team loses last second, that insane, death moment inside, or if his team wins in the final second, we'll see this, big triumphant success. I just am excited to see him, more rejuvenated more than ever, because he's the glue of so many different shows and the company.
Well, he's he's going to be top dog over there in Chicago. So. And then, Frankie, I have one last note here just on like I have some noteworthy moments that I'd like to just riddle through. But one last show note that I have here is a dog walk fictional athlete draft with B Walk and Titus. White Sox Dave gave Brandon trash bacon, which is crazy. He pulled it out of the top of the trash, a thing of bacon, and gave it to Brandon. He walked over and showed where it was and all that. And yeah, it was a very,
Like he
very
ate it
funny
too, though,
moment.
right?
Yeah, he ate one piece like slowly, according to Brandon, and then Brandon apparently had like 4 or 5 pieces after that. And then later, Chief asked Brandon about it. It was like, "Hey, where'd you get that bacon?" And he was like, "Well, White Sox Dave gave it to me." He's like, "That's trash bacon." So it's just super fucking funny. And of course, like that's the first like real moment they have together. You know, like, the principle of not telling him. It's the principle of him just like offering bacon and not being like, I pulled this out of the top of the trash, by the way, my bad. And Titus and Brandon dynamic is starting to play out. You can kind of see how they're going to work together. They get along really well. By that, I mean, they love to chirp at each other. So it's going to be a fun show, you know? Yeah, that's
Titus
all I
is
have
good
on
too.
that.
I hate Ohio
dude,
State, but
very
he's
quick.
freaking hilarious.
Just some quick noteworthy moments / tweets, maybe things that I saw. Corn Ferry Tour in Chicago going on now. You can catch, you know, well, by the time this is out, you're probably going into Sunday, but you can catch the final round on Sunday on Barstool.tv. Jake Marsh, Kirk Minahan, Reegs, and who else is at the desk? I think it's Dan Rappaport is at the desk. You got Frankie and JJ even and Trent out in the field. They put on a great show all week. Speaking of Trent, he's ready to pull some luggage on The Bachelorette. I know your wife's ready to see him pull something, Frankie.
He was itching. He was itching. My sister was like, "Did you see Trent? Did you see Trent?"
Yeah.
Too funny.
Yeah. And yeah, that's all I got. Just a couple of quick notes. Just want to throw those guys in there too, because like, you know, Barstool's got some great stuff going on. So let me a couple seconds on them.
All right, now let's move into the Barstool Beast of the Week.
I'm the best in the office. I am the best one here.
All right, Jonathan. I think I started last week with Kate being my Barstool Beast. Why don't you start this week?
All right, so I have a couple of options here. I don't really want to say. I mean, I'm just gonna go with the obvious one. It's Frank the Tank. Frank the Tank is the beast of the week.
Look at New York now. Yeah. Look at me. I am the
of the week, because he not only is he throwing out multiple first pitches at minor league games, not only is he cooking tea, not only is he giving a Mets rant when they're trading and ruining the team, he's going to the Subway Series on the road and he's getting an escort out. He's getting an escort out of that arena, bro. Like he runs the motherfucker. Like he is the king of fandom right now, and no one can touch where he's at. He's not only the beast of the week, he's the beast of fandom. He's the beast of baseball right now. No one can touch where Frank's at.
No, for sure. It's first unanimous on episode 2. We were just talking about that earlier offline. So
like, yeah, what would happen?
Frank the Tank was my Barstool Beast of the week as well. I had the security at Yankee Stadium, police escort, the video that came out on Viva La Stool with everybody talking about Frank is basically going to be the new head of the New York office. Ev saying like nobody told him what to do, and then it cuts to Frank and he's just like, I'm the captain now. So what a beast. And now he's actually driving to Chicago with a couple people, Jenks and all the guys, Mikey Betts and them, shout out. And now he's probably going to take over that office. What a week for the Tank. So, all right. And then let's move on to the Barstool Least of the week.
Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah.
My boy Mook. He
Okay.
took the least of the week.
Neither of my two.
Okay, perfect. Good. But that anus episode, I was in tears just like looking at his faces and stuff. The fact that they brought the intern on to preface that, he walked out of a coffee shop, or he was standing outside of the office, and he was just wearing his AirPods with a pair of glasses and his iced coffee, and the intern and him caught eyes, this girl who's an intern there, and she just started dying laughing at him just because
just for being Mook. Just
because it was him. And then they bring her onto Anus, and he's like, I don't want this. I don't want this. They do it anyway, of course. And they're like, well, so what was funny? And she's like, well, he was just standing there or whatever. And they were like, yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. And she said something like, I just looked at him or whatever. And they're like, that'll do it. That'll do it. And then she goes, he was like holding a milkshake or something. And he's like, it was a coffee. It was just like, what the fuck is going on? He was so
he had a coffee, sunglasses, and AirPods in. I get it.
Yeah. It was just, too funny. But yeah, I got to give him, I was going to say, I got to give him the least just because, and that's the thing. It almost like he's the least, but it's like the funniest content comes from that.
The ultimate least of the week is White Sox Dave versus the Velcro wall. He put on a full Velcro suit and jumped face first into a Velcro wall. Like that, he had one.
I thought it was going to be. I thought you were going to say White Sox Dave and Mook and pick one of those. That's why I said let me go first, because that Dave, dude.
He turned around like he just got done with a UFC fight. He looked around. He turned around like he was in the cage with Nate Diaz for 5 rounds, and it was a Velcro wall for 2 seconds.
He looked like Nate Diaz or Nick Diaz after most of the fights. His nose just busted.
Yeah, I said, dude, it was his nose and under his chin. If you watch him walk off, he's licking the blood from his chin. He's like,
First of all, he literally he slams it, whatever, and then he touches his face and he goes, all right, well, that's that. Like, he realized he was
someone
bleeding.
had to tell him he was gonna make another run. He didn't know. He didn't know he was banged up. He had that fighter's mentality. He's like, you get punched in the mouth, you don't notice, you use the adrenaline, you come right back with it. He was ready to hop again, and someone's like, oh, your face is bleeding.
Unbelievable. That
hell of a moment. That's all I got, though. I mean, I don't want to roast White Sox Dave too much because he's just authentically him, and I respect motherfuckers that got it like that.
Absolutely.
So, there was one more caveat to that. Dave Portnoy texted him and said, are you going to blog about the Velcro wall? And he said, I wasn't going to, but I guess I will. And then Dave texted back, it's fine. Don't worry about it. And anytime anyone ever texts you back, it's fine, it's a fucking problem. So Dave, you better release that blog yesterday, because it's, you don't want to have Prez on your back.
Perfect segue into the next segment, the Barstool beef of the week, which could happen to be Dave versus Dave, depending if White Sox Dave puts that out or not. So let's get to that.
Fuck you! Well, fuck you too! Oh, my God! What? Brandon,
So my Barstool beef of the week was Nikki Smokes versus everybody. Stoolies, Big Cat.
I had Smokes versus Barstool.
Kareem. So that
was my second one. Sorry.
Well, that's good. So I'll take that one because, and again, like I said, I'm not hating. Congrats to Nikki Smokes. He won the bet. He got the 100K. Awesome. And I hope that he comes out with some killer content. And I'm like, oh God, this guy's actually pretty funny and whatever. Just seems like everyone thinks he's annoying and, all the other stuff that people say. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully we get somebody good, but that is my beef of the week just because of, his attitude towards things and people's attitude towards him. And hopefully that'll kind of settle and things will be good. But if not, that beef will continue.
I kind of get both sides of the argument, if that makes sense. Like, I kind of want to stand on the fence and look at them both, be like, all right, what's next, and eat my fucking popcorn. It's a great beef. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, hopefully we get good stuff out of it. But like I said, shout out Cliff DiMartino. He said it in the group chat. He's like, if you don't know Kareem and you're working at Barstool, like, what are we doing? Like, you got to know Kareem. So anyway, moving on.
Yeah. So you took my second one. The other one was Keegs versus Kirk in the beginning of the week. I mean, Kirk had 1.2 million or like maybe even more than that by the time we release this. On his quote tweet, she was talking about she was like something about men, giving their opinion on Barbie. And then he quote tweeted her and said, who the fuck asked you about Tom Cruise? It's a fucking It was a hell of a quote. It was one of those tweets that like you're scrolling Twitter and you stop and you just like laugh out loud. Like it was a very funny fucking tweet, and I hate to give the guy any credit since he hates us. But it was great. And then they had a whole
it
like
was,
they
it
had
was
a whole
hilarious.
internet. Yeah.
You don't want to be on his bad side. That's what I was thinking. Like I hope she like realizes like he is
She's taking a lot of
insane.
beef. She's taking a lot of beef. It
Oh,
might
for
just be
sure. And but that's what I'm saying.
Kings
She
versus Barstool
welcomes
the
that
most.
shit most of the time. So like I'm
Oh,
hoping
for
she
sure.
realizes Kirk is not someone to be, coming back too much
Truffled
with.
with.
All right, well, let's move into the comment of the week then.
Vacation mode. Kite! I'm flying a kite right now. Let's go.
So my comment of the week, it comes from someone that doesn't work for Barstool. He came at someone at Barstool. So Taylor Lewan went ahead and commented on a TikTok, I believe, of DeAndre Hopkins walking out to practice. It says it's like for Titans. It says day 1 for DeAndre, and then Taylor Lewan comments, gets yelled at for walking because like that's a joke that very bold makes everyone run. And then DeAndre Hopkins gave him the clap back of the year and said, at Taylor Lewan gets yelled at when at Chance Jones has 5 sacks on you in one game with a laughing face.
It was unbelievable.
Like what dude, he like everyone noticed he fucked them up. And just a little ancillary comment to that too, that's not the like DeAndre Hopkins, just shout out to him because he's just becoming a savage on Twitter. He had another one where someone said rare footage of DeAndre Hopkins practicing, and he quote tweeted that person and said, just buy my jersey for your wife at this point. I'm sure she's tired of hearing my name in your sleep. Like the dude he's a clapback king, and I respect that.
He's becoming the Kevin Durant of football, which is awesome. Because,
yeah, bro, that's a great yes.
I'm with it.
Comment of the week, though. I mean, he owned it.
Well, mine again is not from a stoolie, unfortunately, just because I think I'm like recency bias for me too, but also because I love KB and the Yak and all that stuff. And this is kind of just like a throwback and like, kind of a callback, I should say, to one of their jokes. My comment of the week is from Quigs. He commented at Rachel Damita, I think is how you say it. She tweeted out. Yeah, she tweeted out saying, what the fuck is this place? These are the first 2 people you see. And it's like TJ and like a sombrero flipped up and Quigs playing Wii bowling. And Quigs comments back on that and says, how a 2K character going to tell me I can't play a video game? Bitch, you the video game. Which is just a callback to KB's joke when the computer told him, confirmed that he's not a robot, and he said, how you gonna ask me if I'm a robot? Bitch, you the robot. So unbelievable callback by Quigs. It already ratioed her tweet by like double, I think, at this moment. So
she has
doing even more.
I'm looking at it right now, Frankie, just some live stats for the pod.
There we go.
Quigs has 12 retweets, 2 quotes, 793 likes, and 1 bookmark. The original tweet, even from TJ, is 10 comments, 7 retweets, 395 likes. Like Quigs ratio that. That's so he's the GOAT. Go to graphics, go to comments. Besides Brando, of course. Shout out Brando always. That's the end of our segments for you guys. We appreciate you guys for sticking around this far. Again, appreciate all the support and love you've given us so far. We're going to move into another great interview we conducted with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Stephen Cheah. Gave us 45 minutes of his time from his closet. It gave us a lot of background and stuff that you guys maybe don't know. And now, Stephen Cheah.
We are here with the king of ping, the winner of the Yak Roof Ball, the VP of football operations at Barstool Sports, Stephen Cheah. How we doing, brother?
What's up, boys? How we doing? Happy to be the guest on the second show ever, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
Second one.
You're the first content guy. That's what we said too. So appreciate you coming on here. We just got a couple questions for you. My first one was we kind of know your story a little bit, but for the people that don't, like, how did you get started in the sports media industry, and then what like led you to Barstool? If you can just give us a little on that.
Sure. So I had a fairly traditional-ish job before Barstool. I worked at Amazon. I did advertising operations, and one of my best friends, Eric, was
a consultant at, I don't even remember, one of the big 4 places where they send you places. So he's from Boston. He was visiting New York. I lived in New York at the time. And once a week, whenever he was in town, we would get lunch because he has like, a per diem. So it's like, hey, I'll buy you lunch. Let's hang out. And so that was great. We've been doing that for a bit. And then he was like, hey, I'm going to bring my friend Marshall, who was Beardo, Marshall Beard, to lunch. He was like, and he didn't tell me about it, or he didn't tell me his background or anything like that. But the whole time he'd set up, like, he had in his mind, because I was doing the Bucks breakdowns on Twitter, he was like, oh, he's like, you should work for Barstool and do Bucks breakdowns. And I was like, well, team just finished like a 2-14 season. Like, I'm pretty sure nobody really cares about these. Like,
yeah, the Bucks were going through it there for a while for sure.
But it was good meeting Marshall, and he was like, hey, they just hired a CEO. They're moving to New York. Like, if you want to do ad operations stuff, he's like, they're going to be looking for someone to do that. And I was like, oh, that's actually kind of interesting. And I wasn't a stoolie at all at the time. I became aware of Big Cat from Mike and Mike in the Morning. He called in and he was doing the hot dog eating contest. So I had heard of him that way. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is, or I'd followed him a couple months before, but then I was watching Mike and Mike that day and he was on. I was like, oh, wow, this is maybe a bigger deal than I thought.
What year was this, if you don't mind me?
That'd be 2016. Yeah.
Okay.
So things progressed, and then I ended up signing in like mid-August before they moved. I had to wait a few weeks or something, but I started like a week or two after they moved to New York. And I got started at it. I was the senior director of ad operations at Barstool for 5.5 years, I think. And then I officially transitioned to content last like June. But it was a rocky path where I was doing content a lot while also doing my business job. So I was wearing a lot of hats, but I got into it just because when we started the Sirius channel, I listened to the Sirius show from 12 to 2 every day during my lunch break. And I thought it was so cool that Frankie Borelli, who started the same day I did, got to just do it. He had no experience. So when they were trying to staff Sirius, I told our, Mikey podcast and the guy who was like our chief content officer at the time, a programming guy, Mark Cohn, I was like, hey, like, I would love to be a producer. I'll do any show. You don't have to pay me any money, any extra money. I'll do it on my own time. Like, please let me do this. Cause I thought Mike and Mike in the Morning was like the pinnacle for me. So I was like, oh, being a radio producer would be sick. They were like, the plan at the time was actually, they were going to hire one person to produce all of the shows, like 12 hours. And then that obviously didn't work out. Like a week before, they're like, okay, like, I think you can actually do that. And nobody else was asking this. So I was just the only person that volunteered to do this.
You were just actively pursuing a new role.
Yes.
I
was like pushing.
Always
I was asking,
grinding.
like, every couple days, like, hey, any word on this? And they're like, oh, maybe. But like the thing at that time, like Barstool was like 50 people, 40 people. So it's like, if you just like bother people like in their office, that like it's a small office, like they're gonna have to give you a straight answer. So like I'd see these people every day and be like, so what's the word? So eventually they were just like, all right. And they were like, all right, so here's the deal. Well, there's one opening, it's Big Cat's show, but it's 6 to 7 every night. Can you do, like, we're not gonna pay extra, can you do that? And I was like, absolutely. I talked to my wife, she was cool with
Sign
it.
me
Big
up.
Cat done. Yeah, when you say
Yeah. I mean, it's like working a little bit extra night, but like whatever. I mean, at that time I was getting at like 9:15, so it was a long day.
oh man.
But I mean, it was great. And then, the evening yak took off. When we moved and he had a kid, it was like we had originally planned on doing like 4 days a week and not Fridays, but then we started doing Fridays, and it just became like, Friday 6 to 7, like you end up not wanting to do that after like a month. And it's like, all right, well, I guess we already signed up for this. So once we moved to New York and the cast changed a little bit, and Big Cat had a kid and didn't want to stay as late, it's like, all right, let's do 1 to 2, or I think maybe at that time we were doing 12 to 1. And it just worked. It was like, all right, well, I'll just do this during my day, like basically on my lunch break, so to speak, and then I'll do my regular job. And then it just became more than that because I was doing more. So it all led to this, and now I'm the VP of football operations.
I mean, you were working Viva hours the whole way, just trying to, take that next step. So even at Barstool, your path from senior director of ad operations to now VP of football, working on the Yak and Pick Central, and they were talking about on the Yak the other day. You do prep sheet for Pat Bev as well. Is there more that you're doing prep for, and maybe we don't even know about?
I did pro football show prep for 3 years, I think. But yeah, it was like any type of task that could be handed out and I could have my hand in more things like I wanted to do, just because like honestly, my strategy was like, if I get my hand in enough buckets, I was like, there's no way they can fire me. Like,
you got to make yourself non-defensible for
100%.
sure. Yeah.
It just came to the point where, the word irreplaceable at Barstool is kind of a sensitive word, but it got to the point where like things got a little bit dicey for me in the operations thing. And it was like, well, like when like the presentation and stuff came out, and I was like pissed at Dave about that for sharing that. But he was like, he told me, he's like, you're a made guy. He's like, they can't fire you. He's like,
oh, I was just going to ask you, are you a made man?
Fire you. So like,
oh man.
Dang,
I literally was gonna make you say it, and you just did right there. That's awesome.
Big Cat mentioned
he said
it today.
It was on social. Like,
yeah, no,
he's like, they're not.
I'm just happy to hear it. I love it.
Big Cat says all the time that you're going to be one of the 3 guys that no matter what, when he's 70, he's going to have to keep you on a personal payroll because you're just going to be there. He said it was like you, Rico, and Jersey Jerry. He's like, no matter what, like they're going to be there, and they're going to, those are my guys. So that's pretty awesome to be one of those guys.
That's another thing I do. So, over the years, you become entrenched with these people. And I do Pat Bev pod because Rowan just approached me. He was like, hey, you do a great job with prep sheets to the Yak. I want kind of an angle like that with like the other section with kind of like weird questions. Like, and you also know basketball. So I want, this stuff. So I was like, yeah, I'd be happy to do that. And, get kind of integrated in that show a little bit from afar. And I'm not there when they like tape or anything, but every time they have a guest or whatever, every week I'll do the prep sheet for that show. But then when Big Cat started Stella Blue, it's funny. I was at my desk and I'll always go talk to him about something because what does he need from me really? Like I'm always asking for approval for this or run an idea by him or, I have a tip on this, whatever. And he came over to my desk.
Something he's going to complain about on the Yak later for sure.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And then he came over to my desk and he's like, can I talk to you for a minute? And I was like, well, what's up? And he was telling me he was about Stella Blue and stuff. He's like, I would like you to help with this. And I was like, sure. He's like, you have a business background. He's like, so I think you'd be good at this. And he's like, also, I need someone that like I feel comfortable with, like yelling at almost, not yelling at, but like giving like honest feedback.
Yeah.
And also like keeping
kind of like
Frankie
was for Dave. I feel like it's kind of like Frankie and Dave dynamic a little bit where like, like Dave loves Frankie to death, but he was like ready to rip his throat out when it was something, so.
Right. And I can take, not that he ever does that, but like I
He's
will,
not Dave, that's for sure.
I will attend this, Stella Blue meeting every week and I'll take notes and I'll keep on top of Dan on his deliverables. And, the morning, the day before we have our, meeting the next week, I'll just check in with him, be like, hey, where are you on these things? This is what we need to do. We're going to sync up on this tomorrow with everyone. And just kind of keeping on top of him like that. And there are other people that do that. So it's not like I'm the only one. There are several people upstairs, but I'm just like
yours guy.
I don't want to say it's like liaison, but like kind of like I'm somewhat of his buffer. And I can kind of, if people need an answer from him, they would go to me and I would, if he's not responding, he gets, pulled in a million different directions. So I'm kind of the safety net to make sure everything gets done.
You talked about going into that, how people know that and recognize your basketball prowess, right? You know, so that takes me into even what you got here as your I noticed, trust the data, 120 and 92 last season. That's a hell of a record. How did that start? When did the data begin? Has your brain just always been like, you know what, I want to follow this sport and analyze it and put the best bets I can? And it's strictly props, right?
It's strictly props. We did like very few like straight up picks, but basically 99.8% props. So it all started from.
That's such a data answer. 99.8.
So it started, I wasn't a gambler before. So I live in New Jersey. And when sports gambling became legal in New Jersey, I had like an honest talk with my wife and, we know someone with like a gambling like problem, like tangentially, not super close, but, very aware of how this can can be a bad thing if done irresponsibly. So responsible gambling was always a big thing. And I told her, I was like, listen, I think I should do this. I think I should deposit, some money in this, a decent amount of money, and I should bet on football this year and see what happens. And this was after the presentation to Dave. And this was like, hey, like, I'm getting more serious about this. Let's kind of talk about, what the next steps are. And it was clear, with the Penn investment that sports gambling was going to become bigger and bigger. So I was like, let me try and get in as front of this as I can. Because I never bet with like a bookie before. I was familiar with sports betting as far as like going to a casino or going to Vegas and, betting on a game or whatever. And I've done that before, but not like regularly, especially through an app. So the Barstool Sportsbook came out in New Jersey. I was, one of the first ones on. I was in it all the time, studying it, talking to people at Barstool that gambled a lot, and just kind of taking lumps. And I finished the first NFL season and I did a ton of props. And it was just really a learning thing, because something that Hank told me was like, you got to put your picks out because otherwise you can't really celebrate them. So what I started doing was I would make a bunch of picks, and then at like 12:45, 12:50, I'd tweet out like 6 picks. But then what I realized is like, if you do that, if you have 6 picks, you have none. Like, you kind of have to tie yourself to something and like be behind like one thing. So what I realized is like, volume is not the answer. It's like having one thing, be like, this is my pick. It's right or it's wrong. So in football, I do like doing parlays. I don't do that with basketball. Basketball is just one. But football, I like doing parlay just because there's so much action going on. If there's red zone going on, I don't want to just be focusing on one game, especially if it's not like a Bucks game. I want to be focused on my team and then tangentially follow my bet. But I did
the
well
VP of football operations, so you know more about football. So I assume the parlays are easier.
I did very well my first season, and it got to the point where towards the end of the year, I got smarter about how I put things out. I put out like my favorite play, typically like Friday night or Saturday night. I would hold Twitter spaces where, talking about research, or I want to hear about team people calling in with like their local press conferences to see, what the coach said or whatever. Trying to get insight any way I could. And I did good, hit a bunch of big parlays, especially towards the end of the year, and Big Cat and Dave rode them. So I knew I was on their map that way. So ended up the football season. I had like a brutal Super Bowl, but still ended up the season. I don't remember what it was. I was not as clean with tracking units then, but probably about 15 to 20 units for the football season, which is pretty good.
That's good. Yeah, it's good growth.
Yeah.
So we were at the Super Bowl in Los Angeles, and I went for the yak because we also were doing the yak there and the dozen. And I had a really good week there on the yak. And then also during the dozen, we played Dave's team. And honestly, I think something that kind of put me over the edge was I did that Razor Ramon dance when I got out for the yak. And I made him like genuinely laugh and Big Cat laugh. And I was like, all right, well, now they're seeing like a different side of me. So that week when we were going to leave, I remember I checked out of the hotel. But I was staying like through the evening. And so I was just in the lobby working. And Dave came in, and he just came and he sat down next to me. And I was like, hey man, can I talk to you about something? He's like, yeah, what's up? I was like, so like, presentation, you didn't take to it, whatever. But like, football gambling went pretty well. Like, what do you think? Like, could we maybe revisit this? And this is just me and him. And he was like, your football picks are good. He's like, I like what you're doing. He's like, you're smart about it. He was like, but football's 5 months a year, 4.5, 5 months a year. Yeah. He's like, let me see you do basketball. So I had actually already started trying to do basketball and putting out individual picks before the Super Bowl. I remember because I had to place a bunch of bets in Jersey. So I'd been doing it for like a week and was getting smoked. Had a terrible February, had a terrible March. April was decent, and then I started to figure it out right around the end. Like I think May and June, I think I was like 55%, and I was like, okay, maybe there's something here. So I committed to it. I was like, all right, I'm gonna do one every day because Dave wanted to see that, and so I was like, all right, that's there's something there. So eventually, I think it was towards the end of the season, I had kind of picked up a little bit of momentum. And they're like, all right, like, he's committed to the basketball thing. And it wasn't like I didn't know about, like, I had Knicks season tickets from 2010 to 2019. I wasn't going to many games towards the end. We'd sold a bunch of them, but like early on, I was going to, I think my first year I went to like 35 home games, like 35 home games.
And that's just for love of basketball too. That's not even just gambling.
Not betting on it, just like I love the team.
Yeah.
I was a young guy in New York City. Tickets were like $40 a game, so it was doable. But yeah, like I knew the game, I knew the players, and you know, the prop angle was something that I knew like nobody was really attacking at that time. Now a few more people do it, which I love. But at that time we didn't have someone that like just did props. So I found kind of an angle in that. And yeah, this past season we did basketball. You know, I did football. Probably I didn't have a great football season, but basketball was like, all right, let me be consistent with this. Just no parlays, one pick a day. And I started off 32-11 or 31.
That's an insane clip
like
too.
that. Yeah,
it was.
And it got to the point where, so I was obviously doing business stuff before, and we have what's essentially a Bitly account. So you do a shareable bet slip. I would email it to myself. So I'd have a URL that would be whatever the pick is, you know, Joel Embiid over 3.5 assists was my first pick. Do that, send it to myself. I would shorten the URL to make it like barstool.link Embiid and Embiid dimes versus Boston or something like that. And I would tweet that out. So if you go back and look at my tweets, it was a URL that was specifically catered to that pick. And we can't see how many people actually take the pick, but I could see how many people clicked on it. And if I'm saying, hey, click this link if you want to take the pick, I had a pretty good idea of how many people are doing it. And it got to the point where, you know, especially when I was like red hot, like in the first, you know, month or two, I would put out a pick and all of the books would take it down immediately. And like the line shift was crazy. Like I would put out a pick and it was like minus 113. And it would be minus 140 in 2 minutes. It got to the point where it was very obvious I was changing the market. And at that point, like I was like, holy shit, like this is legit. So
yeah, it's serious, something I have to pursue for sure.
So it's very fun to have a bet. It's very fun to have a niche bet, like a prop bet. And it's very fun to have hundreds of people, if not thousands of people that take your pick. Like it's very flattering when if I'm out in public and somebody will yell out, not only trust the data, but they're like, yo, me and my group text, we take your pick. And I get that a lot, which is so fun because not only am I doing this, not only are other people doing this, but it's like bringing friend groups together and they're all rooting for it together. And, you know, hopefully, you know, with me and hopefully they're fit. I'm sure people do fade and that's fine.
You're like the GM of your own team. You know what I mean? Our guy Sam is definitely a huge player. Sam was wearing the trusted data hat right to the front row dozen. So
that's my guy.
That was a lot of serious stuff. So I wanted to just ask you something. You know, Big Cat always says you got a crazy brain and whatever, and we kind of see it in the yak and stuff. So speaking of the yak, I needed to bring up that you had said you watch scary movies sometimes just to get a nightmare because they're nice sometimes. You actually watch a scary movie for the intention of like, oh, I'm gonna get a nightmare tonight, or you're just like, oh, I'll have one tonight because I watched a scary movie.
I watch scary movies to get scared, and hopefully I get scared enough where I'm gonna have a nightmare. Because if you get super spooked by something, and like I'm not watching these things like 1 PM, like I'll watch it at night. I'll watch it, I'll go to sleep, you know, an hour or two later, and then hopefully it has enough of an impression on me where I think about it subconsciously. To the point where it'll wake me up and I'm a little spooked. So, yeah, I mean, Roan joked about it like, yeah, I'm sure you have great dreams all the time. And I do. I'm generally a very happy guy. But at the same time, something I say a lot is a quote from Vanilla Sky: the sweet isn't as sweet without the sour. Sometimes you just want to break the cycle. There's a movie, Better Luck Tomorrow, where there's a guy who's always happy, and he's rich, he has it all, he's good at sports, and he just wants to I think he wants to rob the plot is he wants to rob his own family and like rip them off, like, and get insurance or something, because he wants to like break the cycle. He's like, happiness is a curse. It's like
there's no pleasure without pain.
So like exactly. So nightmare once in a while. If you're scared of a nightmare as an adult, like, grow up. Like, you wake up and it's over. You realize that it was a dream.
Once you wake up with that extra juice, like, man, I just went through that. Like, this day's going to be a breeze. I kind of agree with that take.
Ricochet shot to Smokes there. He doesn't like nightmares, I'm pretty sure.
Tommy?
Whatever.
Yeah.
Tommy doesn't like a lot of things.
Yeah. One other thing you mentioned was the farting at the urinal. So I wanted to make sure I brought that up too.
Sure.
And
Acceptable.
I just want to make sure you thought good on farting at the urinal, right?
Yeah,
Like
I think it's fine. I think it's fine.
Right.
And I also think it's fine. I think the appropriate reaction is to giggle if it happens to you. Like if it
100%.
happens, if you're either the
1000%.
farter or the person next to it, I think it's good to laugh. The only place where I think it's like kind of awkward, and this doesn't apply to Barstool, but like if you're at an office job and you're like not tight with other people, and you're like, then that's a little like, it's a little gross. But
I think
in every other setting, 100% approval.
Right. And I think it was like you had prefaced it with saying like at a bar. So like in my head, I was like, well, what do you want to do?
Bar
Just
would be
fart
great,
at the
yeah.
bar and just like, you know, have everyone smell that? Like, no.
Right.
And it is like the reaction has to be a laugh. If you're the guy that goes like, oh, dude, what the fuck? Like you're the
Right.
biggest douchebag ever. Like it's a fart guy. Like
If
just
you're the
chill
guy
out. But
fucking harassing Biz about washing his hands, get a life.
Talking about things coming up, and I think Frankie introduced you as the king of ping. I'd self-proclaimed king of ping. I still don't know about that last ping that you slowed down on your Twitter.
This is bullshit.
So
and
he got second, and it was a technically second place. But for that roof ball event, are you going out to it? Or is that going to be a little piece of content? So is it you and KB? Are you both going out there?
Yeah, we have to talk about it. I know the date was getting slightly moved. I think it's getting moved from Sunday to Saturday to accommodate because footballs are just going to be a nightmare Sunday. The Bucks playing Monday night that week, but I think we're still, that's the plan. We haven't booked tickets yet, but the plan is absolutely to go play roof ball. I can't wait. I want to play roof ball like right now.
Oh, I know you. I mean, you're so competitive. You think you can complete a pass, but you have to establish the run, right?
That's the ideal way. I mean, what are we doing? Am I just lining up under center and just throwing 30 times the defense knowing it? That's not a fair ask of the question.
No, I get that.
Like, you know, this one player, I forget who it was like 1 for 9 in his start. Like, okay, that guy's not dropping back, being like, hey guys, I'm throwing it. Like, no, he's running offense. That's what I would do too.
I get what you mean. So no one else would know the challenge. Basically, you're just lining up under center. And you're like, man, these guys won't stop running the ball. Here's a play action screen.
Yeah, and they could know that I got a noodle arm, and that's fine.
Right, that's fine.
Compared to an NFL player, like I would have the worst arm in the league by 300%.
You could definitely get in a Bucks jersey on a practice squad to just, you know, let me complete one pass.
No, the reason I would never want to do that is because the overwhelming guilt, if someone were to get hurt on that, would be devastating. True. Like that would be directly my fault. So I would never want to do that for the Bucks. It was another team. So
Gotcha. So anyone else in the NFC South?
Anyone else? The whole argument with that and that entire question is it's just a stupid question. 30 is a ridiculous number. If it was like
it is a lot,
10 or 15, like 10, absolutely not. Like no, 20, like probably not. 30. You don't think I can drop back 30 times and complete? I'm not talking about I'm throwing like 20-yard out routes, but I'm throwing like the shortest pass possible. And,
shovel. Shovel
pass.
It has nothing to do with arm strength. It has nothing to do. Like I know enough, and honestly, like I'm big enough where I could take a hit. I'm way bigger than Bryce Young.
And Drew Brees. Don't forget.
Yeah, that's true.
All time QB.
Being at New York for as long as you've been there, and now you're making the Chicago move. Like, are you excited for that move? I mean, even just excited in total to see how Barstool's grown. And like, you have Barstool comedy, like it's going to be a threat in New York. Then you've got the sports side really over there in Chicago in a fantasy factory type thing.
Yeah, I think that the Chicago move is, I'm looking forward to a lot. We're going through a lot of the logistics of it. Like my wife, bless her heart, she did a lot of the utility stuff today as far as like setting up for when we go there and then canceling, you know, our current ones today. Yeah. I have to go through and tonight I'm gonna pick out like our cable package and stuff like that. So like a lot of behind the scenes stuff that's like not very glamorous, but our house sold, which is great. We have the closing date, and then our movers are booked, and we are releasing a place in the like northwest suburbs of Chicago, and that lease starts on the 25th of August. So we have like a couple days overlap, or a couple days in between. So we're gonna drive out as a family. And kind of, you know, road trip and make it a whole thing. So kind of like Kate and the Beeve did. So it'll be a fun time, but I'm looking forward to like getting settled and going into an office. And one of the cool things about that office is it's mandated, unless you have an appointment or a kids thing or something like that, is to be in the office 5 days a week, which is going to be awesome. And it's going to be smaller, and hopefully we can replicate kind of that HQ2 feel. And it's different because Big Cat's going to kind of be the the guy. He's been that for a while, but like officially really there.
Right. It's his office.
Yeah, and I think everyone respects that and like his place, the company, and all that stuff. So I think it'll be great, and also just the stuff we're setting up is going to be awesome. Like I'm in meetings with Hank a lot, and we're talking about as part of my role is like I'm helping strategize and build out this stuff, and it's really exciting to see kind of all this starting from ground zero, and what it's going to be and the plans we have, and it's cool, and a lot of it's going to be changing. We're going to try a bunch of stuff. Not all of it's going to work. Pivot, and we'll it'll be really, really cool once you see it. And I've seen some like mocks of the office, and they look awesome. So I'm really excited for that, and I'm honestly just excited for football season to be back. So
Chicago's going to be a content factory for sure, but it also brings forward some show changes, like the Yaks losing Roan and Sass. So when you're going into those show changes, has it been like deliberated on like who should we have to fill this role, or is it going to be like whoever's around?
Yeah, Sass and Roan are going to be impossible to replace as far as like their character, wit, and humor and that type of stuff. So we don't have a plan yet for how those are going to be filled, but everyone with the Yak all the way to the whole booth, myself, TJ, and Connor Griffin, who does a lot of stuff behind the scenes, we're all going to be there. So everyone outside of Sass and Roan will be making the trip.
My final question that I have for you is the songs and the inspiration. Like what inspires you to create these melodies? I mean, full disclosure, the Big Cat one was a little long, but every other one I think has been a hit. The Kate one, the Brandon one, you almost made Brandon cry. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah, exactly.
Cry. It's so funny.
How are those inspired? And like, when did that first start? Was it the Giovanni that started it?
I think it was the Giovanni Bernard song, because
definitely was
retired during the show. So I forget what the song was. If it was the Sarah McLachlan song, I think it was.
Yeah, I literally brought it up in our last. I brought it up in the last pod, and I was Giovanni Bernard, the double roll.
So when that happened, I was doing it, and I didn't really think about it because it, TJ just showed me his phone. He's like, "Oh shit, like you got to do something." So it's like, all right, well, do that song real quick. And I thought that they were gonna, close my mic off after like 10 or 15 seconds. And then I went through a whole verse, and it's like, all right, well, I can't just say his name for like 3 minutes. Like, and Rowan was like, speak your experiences with them. And then so, I'm not any type of like, freestyle battle rap guy like Rowan and as quick on my feet as those guys. But, I had enough where we got through a couple verses, and I was like, oh, that was nice. And, the next person was, I think, Jeff D. Lowe, right? So he left, and he was moving out. So like, oh, make a song for him. And I was like, oh, am I doing this? Like, is this like my thing now? So it's like, all right, let me write a song real quick. So I did that. With Brandon, I didn't plan on doing it again because I was like, oh, well, I didn't think the Jeff D. Lowe song really had, I guess G has a different opinion. That's her favorite. But I didn't think that was really a hit. So it's like, all right, like I don't have to do this anymore. But then when Brandon was leaving, they're like, oh, write a song. And I was like, oh, Jesus. Like, all right. Like, it's not very easy to do with like, on the spot. So Brandon just brought up during that show the band Jet. So that song, Look at What You've Done, there was like a period like 10 or 11 years ago where I played that song like all the time. So I knew the like rhythms of it and stuff like that. And what's great about that song is it's a slow song. So any words I want to mix in, like I can just kind of easily do that. So even if you recall the first time I did it, everything wasn't rhyming. And then they were like, oh, fix it up. Like this has potential. We fixed it up, made it rhyme. Then it sounded great. When Kate and Big Cat were moving, it's like, all right, well, I was going to be here. So I was like, all right, let me write a song for their thing so I can contribute to the show in some way while I'm out on vacation. So the Kate one I was so excited about because I figured out what song it was going to be in like an hour. And I wrote the hook and I had it, and I was so excited. I was singing it like all over my house. I FaceTimed Brandon. I was like, "You got to hear this." I was like, "Nobody else." I was like, "I'm not sure anybody else is even gonna know this."
Your
song.
poor wife is like, "What are you singing?"
He was in his car driving with his family to like the Brewers game, and I sang it for like his whole family, and he was like, "That's pretty good." He was like, "You got to get the words," but he's like, "That'll be a good one." But what was really funny about it is that so at that time I was like, all right, like I don't have a good voice at all. I was like, but I'm not like terrible. So when we were recording it, I pulled up like a karaoke version, and I was like, like the timing's a little bit off with this. Like, let's use this song, but like for me to actually know when the words, because like if you're trying to do like karaoke exactly, unless you like have the song completely memorized and like know like the back of your hand, it's going to be a little bit difficult. So I was like, all right, let me put the actual song on Spotify on my headphones, and I'll sing the words. And so I did that.
So you had to sync the timing of that?
It was synced to like the Spotify song, but for copyright reasons, we can't play that on YouTube. So we use like a karaoke version that was like very slightly off, like whatever. But I just wanted to get the timing of it down on my end. So then after it was done, they sent me the file on Dropbox, and I was like, "Dear Lord," I was like, "That sounds fucking horrible." I even recorded a different version to use to have like Connor kind of stitched together, and they just used the original version. So I was like, "Oh man, that fucking was horrible."
Of course they did. I love it though.
So yeah, so I guess that's a thing. I was gonna do one. The one for Big Cat didn't hit, and I understand why. Like looking back, I just got too cute with the song. I wanted to do a slow song, like kind of get the Brandon feel. Just because if you do a fast and upbeat song, like it's very hard to actually get your kind of jokes in, almost. And so
almost missed or breezed by. I get that.
Yeah, but I knew Big Cat would know the song, and he did. But like it just didn't play with the rest of them. So that's fine. I own that. It's a minor setback for a major comeback.
That's right.
Well, it's tough too when you got, "Oh, look what you've done, you made." I mean, it was just I was singing that in my house like for the next like 3 days.
For a couple of days,
like,
yeah, for sure.
I'm telling you, like 10, 11 years ago, I was listening to that song like nonstop, and it wasn't because I like loved it. It was just like you can't get it out of your head.
But I was just singing your version.
That's your version. We heard it on the Yak, and I'm just walking around singing about Brandon Walker all day. Like, what the hell?
The last thing I got, like I was saying before, Tim Hitchens started following. So this podcast, we're going to be like Jenks, and we're going to need you to get TJ and the rest of the Yak so that we can grade all of you guys on your interviews, and we can give you a presentation. I said to Jonathan, I'm like, I'm going to just try to pull the Jenks card here and see if we could just get as many Yak members on here as we can.
Jenks was very smart about how he went across his thing because, yeah, I mean, anybody. So, I mean, I'm a huge Knicks fan. So if you're like, hey, you want to sit courtside at a Knicks game? Like, yeah, I do. Yeah. So, like,
no doubt.
So he was able to like infiltrate that way. And he's just like a nose to the ground, like hard worker. Like he's doing a great job with just like being Frank's buddy and just like putting out a completely different side of Frank that like we haven't really seen. And like the video like last night or 2 nights ago with Frank leaving the Yankees game, that's like
all time.
That's like the 2023 version of like Riggs leaving Pinehurst. Like that's an all-time video. And it's just because he was with him. I think the lesson in that is like if you're a student, like obviously you guys are doing a great job with this pod. Episode 2
so far
is that you know, you try and get your foot in any type of door, but like it's all about like working hard, and like you guys do the the Stoolie Wednesday. Where you know you guys are obviously very dedicated to it, and that's awesome, and it's good to see like people. So many people are like, oh, I'd be great at Barstool. Like, well, what are you doing to get there? Like, you're not doing any, like, there's no frame of reference to prove that you're good. And, you know, a lot of people will be like, oh, take a chance on me, you won't regret it. Like, well, you haven't done anything. So, like, you could be a total dud. So it's good to see people that take initiative and go to, like, in using myself as an example, like, I wasn't a content person. Like, I was just doing, you know, producing Evening Yak and, you know, producing Laces Out, which was a football podcast, and doing a lot of content stuff for free for years. And there are so many people like that. Joey Langone was grinding and doing like Podfather socials for a long time. There's the intern that does the KFC Radio Uncut, who's just been like clipping stuff. There was Neil, who was just clipping everything faster than we could. And it's like, if you can provide a service and do it reliably better than we can, why would we not hire that person? So like, yeah, I guess, you know, Jenks has done a lot of things, but like objectively, what I would think is like his most valuable thing is just capturing another side of Frank, which nobody else was doing before. So like, I mean, where's all this Frank content been that's not like, you know, him recording, you know, and being mad at, like, he's providing another lens to that, which is very valuable. And that's a gap that we had in our business, quite frankly. So like,
all it does is grow the brand. It gets the Barstool name out there. Like, holy shit, who's this Frank the Tank guy polarizing the internet every other night with whatever he's doing, positive or negative, against the Mets? But yeah,
right. He was creative in the way that he did it. You know, he went after low-hanging fruit like myself, and then, you know, kind of got us put in the door that way.
Yeah, we're using the same script.
I was gonna say we're pretty similar. You guys, he's giving out front row tickets to Knicks games. We're just saying, hey, do you want to waste an hour of your life in your closet interviewing with us?
Chop it up about Barstool. Who doesn't?
It's pretty similar, honestly. It's awesome.
Dude, I love talking about Barstool. I jump on Stooley Wednesdays. I mean, both of you guys DM me like, hey, hop on with like something that's like you're relevant to. So like, yeah, I'm happy to talk to, like, without the Stoolies and without the fans, like, we are nobody. So why would I not give my time to the people that give so much to us?
You coming on here, we really appreciate it. I just want to say thanks. You know,
of course, yeah. Thank you guys. We got a lot of fun stuff coming up. I can't reveal the details of it, but especially
Case race in August.
Case race in August. That's confirmed. We talked about it in the Yak today, so that'll be taped Monday 8/21, and that'll air Friday 8/25, and that'll be our last New York show before the break. So that'll be really fun. Kind of like the tank race, where it's like not, I don't want to say like not as competitive, but more just like a vibes thing where we're all just like
hanging out,
enjoying each other's company together for one last time while we're all on the show together as that unit. It's like kind of the, you know, last game of the regular season, like, this team, you're never going to be in the locker room with all these guys again. Like,
that gave me a little bit of chills.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for me, man. That's my show. So, but you are now, since you were on here, you are now a recurring guest, and just anytime we ask, you have to come. It's just Barstool way. So,
yeah, I mean,
we appreciate you, brother.
I'm happy to jump on and when I'm available. So, absolutely, this was fun.
All right, and thank you to the VP of Football Operations, Stephen Cheah. We appreciate your time. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that interview. You got some information you maybe didn't know about Stephen, and some funny stuff that he says as usual.
Trust the fucking data. Trust the data.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're not following Trust the Data, follow it. If you're in a gambling state, use him to make money, because
shout out Barstool Sportsbook.
Yeah, and I mean, the guy is unbelievable. So to finish off like we did last week, we're going to do the roulette table. I won. I let Jonathan pick. So because I won, I'm going to get to pick, and I'm going with black.
All right, let's see what you got with the black then. Black was a loser last week.
I'm changing it up because red hit. I'm not going to ride. I'm just going to go with black, and let's see.
If it's green, we cancel the show.
Can it be 2-0?
Black, yeah.
Let's go. You're about to be Hank fucking Jr., baby. Still undefeated, 2-0. Hank Jr. over here. That's the end of the show.
Yeah, that can be the end. The system's rigged. We should just play Daily Dozen trivia against each other. That's fine. Let's do that. One thing it is, though, Frankie, it's always good to be on Barstool Breakdown.
Absolutely. Viva.
It's the Barstool Breakdown. Go ahead and give it to me. Breakdown. Let's listen to those guys. Breakdown. What's happening at Barstool this week?